And still to come, ex-Savage Garden frontman Darren Hayes is in talking about his new single. And we'll give... Well, and after the break, singer-songwriter and former Savage Garden frontman Darren Hayes is in. He's got a new single out. You're going to hear a bit of that. Welcome back. I'm joined now by singer Darren Hayes. I'll be speaking to him in just a moment. Welcome to the show. So I've been asking which awards you've won, and so far nobody's come in with Oscar yet, or BAFTA. It's amazing, but thank you for those. And now my next guest is an Australian singer-songwriter who knew he wanted to be famous from the age of 6, best known as the frontman of Savage Garden. He's here to talk about his latest single, Bloodstained Heart. Please welcome Darren Hayes. So, 6 years old. I've got 2 6-year-olds. At 6 years old, you were that focused. You thought, right.
Well, I did, but I've realised recently that it was a bit of a con from my father, because I used to sing, and I'm the youngest of 3 kids, and he lied to me because he told me that he thought we could be like the Partridge Family or the Jackson 5. So for years...
How would he lied? He made believe that.
Well, he didn't. No, he didn't. But at the time, I just thought, oh, this so will happen. And it wasn't until I became a teenager that I thought, wow, not everybody wants to do this.
So in a way, though, his kind of game-playing a bit with you was probably a positive thing, because it gave you that real belief.
You know, I mean, and he'll admit this, but it's probably one of the few positive things he did. But absolutely, I think...
Let's talk about your troubled childhood.
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, both parents definitely indulged me. I was the sort of eccentric kid.
Right.
I mean, I was making my own TV shows in the basement, you know.
Yeah.
And they sort of just left me to do my thing.
So you weren't like your siblings then?
Not at all, no. My brother is, well, first of all, my brother's heterosexual. My brother's an incredible football player, and he worked in the building industry, and he used to be devastated because I didn't want to play football. I used to want to make little films with my Star Wars men and sing, and you couldn't have gotten, you know...
But you were, I mean, you know, joking aside, you say your brother's heterosexual, you were living that life yourself, weren't you? So
well, yeah, I mean,
did you
yeah, I mean, I got married to a woman, absolutely. Yeah. And a woman who is still probably one of my best friends. But it's a cliche, but we were essentially Will and Grace. We were, you know. I went to university because my father told me that I had to get a real job. So I went and studied journalism for a bit, and then became a teacher. But I met her, and we just, you know, became inseparable. So.
But it was like a really strong platonic kind
of
I mean,
look, I loved her. It was a marriage, but I think it took me absolutely years to realise that actually there's kind of something missing, you know, in my life, and actually it's that I'm gay. So it was. We laugh about it now. It was obviously miserable at the time, but I think it happens to a lot of people. It just took me a while to work it out.
And I guess the industry you worked in, travelling around the world, perhaps things kind of came out for you in the way that they don't always.
Yeah, I think I was very lucky because, like, you know, I didn't really have any role models. I didn't even think that was a possibility. And absolutely, working with creative people, meeting stylists, meeting lots of different types of people, I realised actually, you know, maybe
Savage
I'm
Garden
someone else.
Just kind of, you know, it seemed like it was a very quick, instant success, you know.
In
a way, it was kind of manufactured as well, wasn't it, in terms of your meeting with Daniel? Was that not kind of... You weren't, like, working underground for years and years and years?
Well, we were, no. He was literally the first audition I ever went to, and he lied. He said he was in a band that just about had a publishing contract, and they didn't. We became this terrible covers band.
Okay.
But we met, and I think we spent about a year, so it literally was almost overnight, where we sent out demo tapes, got 150 rejection letters, but eventually got signed. But no, it
wasn't manufactured in that sense.
No,
okay.
no,
I thought when I
sense.
saw Audition, I thought you kind of like came together.
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
I auditioned for him, and I was terrible, actually. My audition was, I think my voice cracked in my first audition.
So what do you think he saw in you?
I think he was great at seeing a diamond in the rough. I think he saw that ambition that we talked about earlier in me. I was the opposite of what he was. He was very much a studio person and someone who was happy to be in the shadows. And he saw in me this potential performer.
So was it tough when he decided that he didn't want to go on then?
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Were you ready at that point, do you think?
Not at all, no. And it was a difficult time in both of our lives because contractually we couldn't really admit that the band was ending. And so we sort of had to say that we were on a hiatus. And meanwhile, you know, we had our second Billboard #1 single. I think our second album just sold another 10 million copies. We were literally on top of the world when the band ended.
But everything's moved on. You have a fantastic new single, which
I wouldn't change a thing.
Should we have a little look at it and then talk
about
it afterwards?
Yeah,
okay. Lovely video, amazing reviews, and people kind of saying it's like the kind of big sound of Savage Garden as well, but with something different.
Yeah, it's strange for me because I don't really draw a line. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. It's my 6th album. 2 of them were Savage Garden records. But, you know, I turned 40 this year, and it would make sense that, you know, those records are a part of me. So I guess it does... I can hear that it does sound like my earlier records. And
you have had such big success commercially as well in the States as well, so you can kind of bridge those markets, which is really
been really lucky.
unusual.
I think Truly, Madly, Deeply and I Knew I Loved You, I think those songs being Billboard #1s changed my life. So I think that the fact that I have that career is very lucky, and I don't take any of it for granted. And
it's lovely having you here.
Thanks.
And stay with me, will you?
I'd love to.
We're going to look at something very special now. Darren, you're going to stay with us?
Yeah,
talk a bit of fashion?
Sure,
yeah.
I'm up for that.
We're going to revisit London Fashion Week. Noelle's been out and having a look what it really takes to put on some of these incredible shows there. I'll see you after the ads. Welcome back. We've got kind of a fusion of music and fashion today. Singers Shane Lynch and Darren Hayes are still with me this morning, and we're now joined by designer and presenter Noelle Reno. Good to have you here. If you saw the show yesterday, you saw Noelle's behind-the-scenes look at London Fashion Week. We're going to have another look in just a moment, but not before I've told you about 2 more awards that you've won. Jamie has emailed me to say, the biggest achievement was moving to England from Canada to be with my now husband of 4 years. Congratulations. You're a prize, apparently, husband. Ian in London says, when I was 10, I came second in my school's novelty race. I was great at the Egg and Spoon. Thank you for that, Ian. I didn't ask you about your awards today. Did you win Brit Awards along the way?
Never a Brit. Certainly MTV Awards, and then back to the old school of Smash Hits. If you remember that, you know?
Yeah.
Those kind of teen awards is what we won, and then the odd kind of
Never a
song
Brit.
thing.
I can't believe you didn't win any Brits.
You know what? Funny enough, when it came to Irish pop and the whole Brits, they never really...
Wasn't cool enough.
I think just getting involved. They had U2 and all that, not a problem. We did perform on the Brits once, but that was the twist of an arm, if you know what I mean, and the threat by a record company. However,
a few years' time you'll get that call, Lifetime Achievement Award, Lifetime Achievement Award.
Nah, that ain't coming.
OK, let's talk fashion then. Designers, models and fashionistas from all over the world descended on the capital for London Fashion Week, and Noelle has been there all week for us, having a great time. You look like you've come through it. You don't look shattered.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I only did a couple of the parties. I think there's this misconception that it's all about the parties. If you're at the shows, which start at 9 a.m., the last one's at 9 p.m., the last thing you want to do is be hungover when you're going to a 9 a.m. show. And you're doing it for 5 days.
You could just start with the parties, and then if you make a show, great.
Yeah. No, it was exhausting, but it's always exciting. There's always a great energy at the tents.
OK, well, yesterday you told us about the trends, but you also had a sneak peek behind the scenes to find out what it takes to put on a show. Thank you so much. It has been really interesting looking behind the scenes and seeing the shows. There's so much energy that goes on there as well.
It's in a very intense energy backstage. And you have to think it's 6 months of planning that goes into a 20-minute show. So if you think about all of that, no wonder there's that energy.
Yeah, and the tension that goes on there, which you rode beautifully, Noelle. So the trends coming through for you, then?
The trends. One of my main trends, Gabby, is print. I think print is going to be huge. We saw a lot of it.
You're working well today.
Well, I thought, you know, why not be an example of?
This is an example of the kind of print you're talking about, then?
Yeah, and what we saw is even designers that aren't known for prints did a lot of prints, and they're mixing prints in a very different sort of way. So don't be scared this fall to maybe mix a couple of prints all in one look.
Wow, whoa, yes, that's...
Well, that's Mary Katranzou. She's a Greek designer, but she's been showing here at London, I think, for 3 seasons now, so it's about 18 months. She's incredibly talented, and she's known for her prints. But there's lots of great prints on the high street you can get. Zara does great prints. Topshop's always a good one.
And also, with something like that, if it is going to be kind of just, you know, a key thing for that season, you don't want to spend fortunes on something that the following year is going to look a bit passé, do you?
Absolutely. I agree 100%, Gabby. I always say, put your money into your accessories, your shoes, and your handbags. And that's another main trend, is leather. We're going to see a lot of leather, which I'm a leather girl, so I love.
Everywhere? Leather all over?
Well, of course you're going to see that London Fashion Week. You could do, but I think there's a lot of leather for men that we're going to see today, because today's men's
Okay.
day, which closes London Fashion Week. And then leather, especially black, but all different kinds of leather.
The men get one day. I love it.
They get one day, but actually I have good news. In June, men are getting a full week.
There you go. So will you be showing your new range?
No, I feel at this present moment I am back in kindergarten, sitting next to yourself, and I'm very scared about to talk about it.
How did you do it? Did you collaborate with another designer? Is that kind of how it came to be?
I've been in not necessarily the fashion side of things, but clothing industry for about 10 years. I've had a label called Evolution Fightwear, which we deal mostly with MMA, which is mixed martial arts.
Okay.
So the whole UFC thing that's kind of been up and coming. And I've dealt a lot with kind of leather stuff, as you're talking about leather, but not necessarily as the trousers or anything, but more kind of fight gloves and that range of training gear.
Right.
So this is a whole new direction for me when it comes to fashion. So it's more of a it's Italian design to start with, so it's a bit more slim and trim and a bit more mature, smart casual.
And are you enjoying the whole process?
Doing a lot of print and, you know, kind of shorts and stuff.
Doing
so
well.
yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm not necessarily the person out there sourcing materials. I have been to factories, etc., to see the first samples come off production line and stuff like that. But you know, I'm an infant at the moment. I'm definitely an infant. I would love to be in London Fashion Week at some point in life.
Darren, you're a tailored man by the looks of things. You like
I'm quite jealous of the tattoos in the sleeves, as you said. And in fact, I wore long sleeves because I just didn't want to compete with this. But we were saying backstage you can never have enough hats, shoes or gloves, but we didn't say that.
Well, I've got really good news for you, because men's accessories is something that's growing and growing. And we're supposed to see today lots of man purses.
Oh, yeah?
Have you got a man bag?
I do, you know.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
They're so on trend.
Yeah.
You guys
You
are
didn't realise who I put you
honestly,
next to, did
because
you?
like I was just
Jack
saying,
Spade.
it's good value. And men are now like, okay, it's good value. And someone like my boyfriend who's always carrying around his bones and his bits.
It's better value to carry in a bag than to lose it all.
I think, well, no, absolutely. I think man bag's important anyway, I think. But the kind of label I'm doing is called 1952, and it's back to that kind of stylish Italian classic, the little man bag, when they were just, you know, nice and regal gentlemen.
Yeah, OK, let's talk a little bit about the celebs, Noelle, who we see on the... Because obviously we heard there that some people get kicked out if they're not on trend with that particular designer. So who did you see? Who did you sit next to?
Well, at Mark Fast, I was lucky enough to sit next to Kanye West and Nicola Roberts, and I finally got to meet Nicola Roberts because she's been wearing, I have a vintage jewelry brand called Carol Tannenbaum Vintage Collection. She's been wearing it for a couple months now, so I finally got to say, hi, thank you for supporting.
And other celebrities, because it looks from the outside like they kind of go to be seen as much to see the clothes, really.
Yes.
It's about them being on show, as opposed to... They don't kind of sit and write down what they want.
No, there is none of that. There's the stylist who sits directly behind them, who will sit and write all of that, but it's the whole production of them appearing and sitting.
It's
and
theatre, isn't it,
pictures.
really, by another name?
It is. Well, that's what Alexander McQueen calls it. So we saw that. I got to have many nice chats with Kate Nash, the singer. So it's a good turnout. I think it's always nice to have celebrities. And Sam Cameron, that's great, because it all brings awareness.
And you end the week with us. So,
Yeah,
you know, what
it couldn't be
more?
better.
Well, what? No,
Honestly.
it's been great. And you've educated all of us. You've given, obviously, Shane a little kind of...
You're
almost
welcome. I want to see it in your new line.
Guys, thank you so much. It's been a lovely show. Thank you for coming today. Tomorrow, X Factor winner Matt Cardle is here with his new single. We have one of the greatest triathletes of all time, Chrissy Wellington, is here. Joe Tantum is here to answer all your baby questions. And we're trying some of the world's best beers as well. 11 right here on Channel 5. I'll see you then.